Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to a Monday edition of the program. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Glad you're along for the ride. It's Monday. That means we'll have JC. We'll recap the weekend, our Peachland Dental picks, and then we'll have Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com joining the pro. If you missed it last night, the Titans losing overtime to the Chiefs 20-17. We'll talk NFL if you want to talk NFL. Gators with a big win in College Station. I'll give you my thoughts on that. And Gator basketball cranks up tonight against Stony Brook in the O'Connell Center. Right off the bat, good morning, JC. You're on the Titan More Hotline. Yeah. And Scott chimes in. He says, JC, are you doing okay?
Oh, yeah. Listen, I mean, heartbreaker. There's no doubt, man. 3 straight regular season losses with crowd storming and field storming, rather. And then you have, a 3-point loss, a 3-point loss, and a 1-point loss. I think it's pretty clear, Georgia has taken over the league and taken over college football because of their recruiting progress, and they've out-recruited. They've also had more stability with their coaches, and Kirby Smart, to me, is the reason that they are so good. But I think Alabama, speaking of them, listen, man, it's been it's unthinkable the ride this team has been on. But this year is going to be like 2010, where they're going to have to settle for a pretty much meaningless bowl game. Yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, Alabama could easily be 5-4 right now.
Well, and they could also be 9-0. So I mean, these games.
But when I watch them play, what surprises me the most about them is all the talk before the season was about their defensive line.
Yep.
Will Anderson has not been anywhere. He's not making any plays.
Well, and their secondary QB, you can watch him play. I know you're not a defensive backs coach, but you know enough about it. You can watch how they play and how Georgia plays, and it's night and day. And what I'm thinking,
you know who the defensive back coach is for your squad, right? That 71-year. The 71-year-old man that's in charge of the program coaches your defensive backs.
Well, but I
blame him.
I think the other big issue is Alabama's front seven has not pressured the quarterback the way it used to, and Georgia's did. I mean, if you watched Hendon Hooker on Saturday, you would not have recognized that quarterback because of what Georgia forced them out of. And so, listen, I mean, it's pretty clear to me we're going to see an LSU Georgia SEC championship game again. That actually has happened quite a few times here in the last couple of years. In the last 10 years, I think it's going to be the third meeting between the two schools in the SEC championship game. And Georgia is clearly the favorite to be a back-to-back winner, much like Alabama in 2011 and 2012. So, QB, if you go through the top 4 teams, I can't see how anybody. I'm just watching these games. To me, I'm probably biased, but you probably agree. Georgia just feels and seems so much further ahead, physically and athletically, and execution wise than everybody else.
Well, I said the Georgia game went exactly how I thought it would. I didn't think Tennessee would move the ball on them. Because I'd seen them both in person, and Georgia could have. It's almost like they took their foot off the gas after the second half. But anyway,
the rain was bad. The rain was really bad.
The bottom line is, and it pains me to say this.
Yeah,
but Georgia is the premier program in college football right now. It's no longer Alabama. It is Georgia.
Yeah, no, it is Georgia.
We got to find a way to get there to compete with them. Back to the Gator game. That was my first trip to College Station. I will tell you this. I have never in my life – I've been to every SEC place now, and I've been to almost every ACC that's not the real ACC, not all those damn schools up north. They have the best facilities I ain't talking about just in football. I'm talking about in every sport. It's unbelievable the amount of money that is spent on that campus. And land is not an issue. I think they announced or in our little press clippings, there's like 74,000 undergrads on that campus, and they could put another 100,000. It's got so much land, but their facility, that stadium is so straight up in the air. The press box was moving. I kid you not. It was swaying.
Yeah.
It's so high. But
it's higher than LSU?
Way higher.
Okay.
Way higher.
Well,
and
yeah. Okay.
I just they're an awful football team with bad chemistry. They have serious issues. I don't know what they're going to do, but let me tell you something. If they ever get the right person in there, look out, because I was floored. Never seen anything like that place in my life.
Well, get out of Gainesville once in a while, QB.
No. I've been to you did not listen to what I said.
I heard what you said.
Let me just tell you this. I've seen y'all's facility. Both times they built it, it blows your place away. That's how nice it is.
Well, there is a huge disparity in resources. Okay. It's not even worth comparing. But guess what? All that money isn't buying them diddly poo on Saturday. So, I mean, you can go woo-woo about all this and woo-woo about all that. Give me something on Saturday afternoon, please. Because I'm honest to God, $85 million for that guy. Now, look, he was very successful. He was very successful, but before he got there. But I think that was
but he wasn't. I mean, if you really look at his track record, it was one quarterback. It was Jameis. They didn't really do anything other than that.
Yeah, and I mean, you could have made the case that Jameis could have been suspended multiple times, but he needed to win it, so he didn't. But listen, I get it, man. A&M is a colossal disappointment, probably the biggest in the season. They had 31 players out on Saturday, QB, and they've got 5 straight losses for the first time in 42 years.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. They're paying for that, and they extended the guy, so they're stuck with him. Sorry.
Yeah, Van Der says on Facebook Live, Shane, listen to you on WRUF. You gave AR a little bit of love. I always give him love when he plays well. It's the best game he's played as a Gator. It's that simple. And you know why? Because he protected the football and he threw completions. It ain't that damn hard. He showed tremendous touch on throws. He was in complete control. The thing that impressed me the most about that entire game was how we handled the crowd noise. We had a few false starts, but I'm telling you, they probably had, I think that place holds 107,000 or something like that. They had close to 100 in there. There were a few seats empty, but guys, it loud there.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
It was by far the best game the Gators have played all year long. Way better than the Utah game. Don't look at the score or any of that stuff. It was clearly a better performance. Now, granted, they beat a bad football team who had a lot of guys out, but it doesn't matter. They won, and that's all that matters. Warren says defense adjustments in the second half impressed me the most. They really didn't do anything different. Here's where fans, and I don't want fans to take this the wrong way. I think fans, no matter what team you root for, you think that you're supposed to, the opposing quarterback should go 0 for 27 in the passing game, never complete a pass. They should never gain a yard on a running play. Okay. So, for example, I think it was like the second play of the game. They run off tackle zone to the right with Devon Achane. Gators clog it up. He puts his foot in the ground and reverses field and outruns everybody for about a 75-yard gain. Okay. That had nothing to do with the Gator defense. That's him making a play because he's the fastest player in America against your guys. They completed balls. As I said, the opposing team is going to complete balls. So, for example, JC, the touchdown throw to Jaquavian Frazier's in the corner, one of AR's best throws he's ever made.
It was.
Okay? If somebody makes that throw on a Gator defender, what are the Gator fans saying?
Yeah.
We can't cover anybody.
Right.
Okay. It was perfect coverage by the A&M defender. B, it was the perfect throw. And C, it was a phenomenal one-handed catch.
Yeah.
So, anyway, Chaz says AR needs to run the ball more. Yeah, A&M, he ran well. because A&M, it was almost like they didn't practice. I swear they were so out of place on the defense side of the ball in the run game. It was crazy.
Could be a bad week. I mean, you get the flu hit them. They coming off a loss where they suspended players. I mean, it's chaos over there. They're not going to play in a bowl game. Think about that.
No, they're not. That A&M team is so bad. I can't tell you how bad it is.
Well, and give Florida some credit. For the first time this year, I saw the defense front seven pressure the quarterback. I mean, I don't know what kind of offensive lineman A&M had in there, but
their offensive line was not very good. But I will tell you this: Princely, I can't pronounce his last name. Number 33. I just call him Princely on air because I can't pronounce it.
Right.
He and Antoine Ryland Powell were coming off the edge, replacing Brenton Cox.
Haven't seen that all year, have you?
Yes. Now, it could be a combination of A&M's left tackles and left guard being awful, but it was just a really good overall best performance of the entire team all year long for the Gators. Got a bunch of texts here, JC. Let's get to them. Daryl says, good morning, guys. Shane, anytime we can get a road victory in the SEC, it's great. I heard you say on the radio broadcast Saturday that the press box was swaying. Yes, it was so damn high, I can't even tell you. And I can't get over JC. So, they got the open windows, and I was scared to, lean forward. But I was so enamored the entire game of all the, traditions because I'd never been there. I mean, we've all been to LSU. We've all been to Tuscaloosa. We've been everywhere. Everybody has their own little thing. These dudes have more stuff going on during the game. I stood there the whole time with my camera like this, videotaping while broadcasting because I was blown away.
I love your videos that you sent that back. It's almost like a religious experience for these folks. I mean,
you would love the yell leaders. It is the funniest thing, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but
I'm going to go next year. I'm going next year.
So one of the big moves is this right here, JC. The whole crowd's going. That's one of the hand gestures they do.
Yeah. Did you see the guys
in the press box?
Did these guys do this?
They do all that stuff. And then they got these other little moves they do, and then the whole crowd does them. They you got to see.
But I got to tell you, from TV, having been there, it looks extremely uncomfortable because everybody stands the whole damn game, and everybody's like this, and they don't move. I mean, they're like military fans. They are disciplined. They do not move for 4.5 hours. They just go the same thing. I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go watch them play Alabama next year.
You have to go. I will. You got, and then we're driving in from the hotel.
Yep.
And the Corps of Cadets.
Mm-hmm.
There must have been, I kid you not, over 250 horses that they're on.
Yeah.
Going through campus on their horses in their uniforms. It was the damnest thing I ever seen. So, let me get to these texts here. And then, not only that, though, but all the horses.
We got more.
No. The horses, they go across the campus. Yeah. And so I'm up in the press box. I look down. They don't have a track, but they have between the sidelines and the first row, there's probably 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They march the entire, all the cadets, but then all the damn horses go all the way around the field and then back out.
Yeah.
It's some tradition. So anyway, I know people don't want to hear about that, but I thought it was
I think people do want to hear about that. It's something different. It's not what we're used to. And
it is so different. So different.
Yeah. Right.
This is from Ryan. He says,
play Texas.
He's saying we're hearing a lot of these days about voter integrity and election deniers. And I'm just going to say that if Stetson Bennett isn't invited to New York, then they might as well do away with the Heisman. Who cares if the dude is a short former walk-on with no shot at the NFL? The Cat's leading the best team in America, and I'd damn take him as the UF QB. Speaking of UF, it's nice to finally face a defense worse than our own. Yeah, I've been on Stetson for 2 years.
He had 700. He had 700 phone calls from Tennessee fans last week who got his number, and after the game, he had his way with them. But he's been spectacular. Kirby saw what he wanted and got it from that guy, and it's been good for them.
Who is this? I can't. Forrest says the announcers on the game on TV were horrible.
Robert,
I could have told you that crew is awful. Matt from Mariana. I'm glad to see Alabama fans get the opportunity to sit down and shut up after 2 losses. And I believe heaven rejoices every time John James Fisher loses. I know
Yeah.
I do.
Well, look, I mean, it's hard to put up with. I understand. It's been a long run for them, and they're going to have to watch this year. So that's fine. They've been to 6 out of the last 7 college football playoff finals. I mean, whatever. And I understand the country with the Alabama fatigue. It's fine. At some point, that's going to come. You just can't keep Georgia's going to get there eventually, but they've got some work to do still, but they're on their way.
All right, we got some texts here from an anonymous texter. 3 of them. I'm going to answer all of them. Shane, do you think Saturday was a turning point for our team? Seemed like we played more of a complete team game. Best team. It was the best game we played overall all year long. Mm-hmm. And just my thoughts, it looked like with Cox not being on the team, I felt like there was more team unity. That's just what my eyes showed me. Also, do you think Caleb Williams is the best QB prospect right now? Watched him this weekend. He is phenomenal. I don't know if he's eligible to go pro this year. I think this is only year 2 for him. He is outstanding. Players started executing the defense play in the second half. No scheme change yet.
Let me go ahead and mea culpa on your boy Daniels. The improvement from week 1 to week 2, well, actually from week 1 and 2 to where he is today is pretty spectacular for LSU fans. And Brian Kelly, they stuck with the guy, dude. They did not give up on him, and he eventually settled in. It almost feels like every time you play Alabama on a big night like this, you have a game that goes down in your school's history, right? So here's Daniels. Clearly has improved without a doubt. Is comfortable in that offense, and their athleticism is showing that they can do it if they get the right guy behind center. And right now, they're going to win the West. And here's what's going to happen on Saturday in Ole Miss. Jackson Dart's going to have a career day. They're going to have 7 pass interference penalties called against Alabama, and Lane Kiffin's going to make it another potential. I know you don't think that's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It's just this is the way it's gone for Alabama. So, yeah, watch Jackson Dart on Saturday. Bet everything on Jackson Dart.
They don't throw the ball, though, very much, JC.
Well, they should, because you can get as many pass interference calls as you want, or you can get open receivers against that defense. So why wouldn't you try it?
Well, I think y'all need to make a coaching change in. You're complaining about the position your head coach coaches.
See, this is the thing Georgia's going to deal with now that they have ascended the mountain and gone ahead of Alabama is they're going to deal with attrition. They're going to deal with
coaching. My internet or your internet?
They're going to deal with coaches going to other schools. It's just part of the natural.
I don't hear JC. Do y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, dude. I'm here. Hello? Hello?
Is that JC or me? Can y'all hear me now?
I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, I lost JC for all that.
You got me?
Yeah. Oh, they can hear us.
I was just saying Dart's going to have a career day on Saturday. This is what happens. And look, why wouldn't you throw the ball? You can get an open receiver or you can get a penalty. It works well for you if you try throwing the ball on these guys.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home, darling? We'd be a realtor with Caldwell Banker. M. Parrish will value fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with JC, we'll have Scott Carter join us and break down the Gators a little bit more. He was there up in the clouds in the press box as well. JC, and the Peachland Dental picks, I believe we both went 7 and 8. I believe is that what you had?
No, it's 7 and 7 because we got to push on the Rams. So you're 50 and 58.
I thought the Rams lost by 3.
Well, they were getting 3 on our board.
Oh, I have 2 written down, so that's one.
Okay, yeah. So we're dead even. I think some of your better picks was Notre Dame over Clemson. That was a good one. We both had Liberty outright winner, 14-point underdogs, impressive. And for some reason, you took Vanderbilt. One of my better picks was the Baylor winning at Oklahoma. And by the way, that Big 12 is very compelling. There are 4 teams that can win that conference, and 2 of those 4 will play in the championship game. And they all play each other at the end of the season. Texas, Kansas State, Baylor, and TCU. All of those schools will play each other in the next 3 to 4 weeks. it's a good race in that conference. That's a very good conference. What do you think about TCU? You think they'll be number 4 tomorrow night when it comes out?
I would probably put them there.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, Georgia is clearly better. I saw the score popping up in the press box or in our booth with Ohio State. And I'm going, how is that possible? Then I saw the weather was real bad, but still, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, dude. You're right. It doesn't matter. They struggled with Northwestern's physicality. That's the thing. Look, Michigan actually now, for the first time this season, I'm actually coming around to believing that there might be a chance for Michigan to win that game. There might be. I'm just saying there might be. They were losing to Rutgers at halftime until they decided to play. But those 2 Big Ten teams are going to make the argument that they should get in the college football playoff because they'll both be undefeated when they play. And so then, Georgia, I don't know. Is Tennessee at 11-1 good enough? I don't know that. I don't know the answer.
No,
and then what if LSU wins? What if they beat Georgia? I mean,
here's the thing. Yeah, I don't think LSU can beat Georgia. There's still all these people watching some shows yesterday or when we got back the other night. They're talking about LSU still has the opportunity to make the playoffs. I don't see how that's possible. Even if they win the SEC, I don't know how it's possible. JC, they lost to Florida State, okay?
Sure,
and then they got humiliated and blown out on their home turf by Tennessee. I just don't know how their resume, to me, still is not very good.
Well, their resume would be validated with a win against Georgia on a neutral field and a conference championship. I mean, how could you say, well, the conference champion's going to go play in the Sugar Bowl, but the loser of the conference championship is going to go play in the playoff? That just sounds counterintuitive. Doesn't it sound a little wrong?
Well, I mean, it's happened, right?
No, I can't remember when the conference.
Well, nobody's won the SEC with 2. Nobody's won it with 2 losses. First of all,
I'd have to think about that.
No, I just don't. I don't think LSU's.
But they could. Mathematically, they easily could. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just don't. I don't see it happening.
It's not for.
They're not going to beat Georgia, so it doesn't matter.
It's not for us to figure out, QB. But winning college football is going to get more challenging when they expand the playoffs, and with NIL and everything else. That's why this run that Georgia's going to go on for the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a lot different and more difficult than what Alabama's done the last 10 years. It's just different landscape. It's going to be tougher. But Georgia has taken over. Kirby Smart is the reason, and they've out-recruited everybody, and it's not even close right now.
Tom says here on the Titan MR text line, which was higher, the press box or the Texas A&M football players in the lockdown? I don't know what he's talking about.
He's talking about the pot, smoking pot.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I got you.
They suspended those kids for getting stoned.
This is Lee. Lee says, Shane, tell Corndog that RG3 said on the ESPN broadcast when Richardson hit Frazier's for the 19-yard TD, he hit Frazier like Muhammad Ali, float like a butterfly, rumble, young man, rumble. Did he really say that?
Yeah.
I mean, people kept saying how goofy the stuff they said. Robert, he said?
Robert just goes up there and has a good old time with his. I mean, yeah.
Oh, you like him? I think he's terrible.
I just think he's entertaining, but look, he's not gonna be the first guy called for my analyst job, but he does make me laugh because of this silliness. He's just a silly guy, but he's very enthusiastic. He's got a lot of energy. I mean, what else the hell do you want? I mean, you don't have to be some, Kirk Herbstreit. Not everybody has to be Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. So, what else stood out to you, JC? Anything else during the weekend?
Bennett, Georgia, obviously, the A&M flu, Florida's good play, and the Big 12 race, to me, is right now the story of college football. The 4 teams are going to be Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and I think TCU with Oregon. I mean, God almighty, do we really want to see Georgia play Oregon again? That could happen. If Oregon wins the Pac-12 and only has 1 loss, they might find a way to put them in. Why? Because you have a semifinal game in Phoenix.
They would deserve it more than LSU, in my opinion.
Well, if LSU wins the SEC, I would disagree with that, but we'll see. But what about Tennessee? What if they finish 11-1? Did that game eliminate them? But here's the thing: the West, the western part of the country has the national championship game. It's going to be in SoFi Stadium in LA for whatever reason. And the semifinals are in Phoenix. Don't think Oregon is not being thought of very highly right now if they go the rest of the year and with one loss win the Pac-12. And I don't see why they wouldn't.
The national championship is in SoFi.
LA. Yeah. So I mean, that's what these college football guys did. They stuck it in Los Angeles. What if we have? I mean, it's just a trip for the Ohio State fans and the Georgia fans to make. But I mean, my God, it's so expensive. It's so expensive. I don't know the practicality of this college football playoff right now. I've lived it. It's impossible to go to a semifinal game and then 9 days later turn around and go to a championship game 3 time zones away. It's impossible. It's not practical. I don't think it's meant to be practical, but I think it should be. And when we get to the playoff, we're going to have 4 teams with bye weeks, and they should be able to have on-campus games just like the games prior to them have on-campus games when we go to 12 teams. If they don't do that, then they're taking it away from the fans, but they've already done that anyway, and they just stick everything on TV.
All right, let me get this Facebook Live here. It's where'd it go? It was somebody on here asked me would I want to work with Anthony Richardson on his quarterback mechanics or something. Look, he's got a good coach. Billy knows what he's doing. Billy played quarterback himself. Anthony's problem is being a consistent player, and he was extremely consistent Saturday, and that's why we won the football game. It's that simple. When he plays like that, you're going to win games.
I mean, I would think after 8 dress rehearsals, he at some point should.
Right.
I mean, come on. And so, look, Florida looks good for Vegas. Maybe a Vegas Bowl with Washington.
No, I saw yesterday they're talking about us going to the old Outback Bowl, which I don't know what it's called now, and playing Illinois.
In Tampa?
Don't nobody want to go to Tampa.
Come on. To play Illinois, who couldn't even get a first down against whoever the hell they lost to the other day. It's off the top of my head, but they looked awful. And, the Big Ten championship game, think about how bad this is going to be, QB. You're going to have Ohio State or Michigan playing Illinois or Iowa or Wisconsin.
Yeah,
I mean, it's awful. It's just
the Big Ten's got to do what the SEC is getting ready to do.
Yes,
everybody plays. There's no divisions.
Play your best,
and the top 2 teams go play again.
And that's what the Big 12 and the Pac-12 do. So
they're going to have to do that.
They are.
Text on the Titan Mar text line from Josh in Mississippi wanted to say good morning, love the show, and Billy, I trust, and go Gators. Do you all see a late season run here? I think we left some points on the field, and the defense showed some promise in the second half. Maybe we have something here. Your thought? Yeah, I mean, we said the other day the 4 remaining games. Now there's only 3 left. Are all winnable, but they were also all losable.
All losable.
If we play the way we played the other day, we will win them. The game in Tallahassee will be the most difficult one, but the team coming this week, South Carolina, is not a good football team. I don't care what their record tells you; they are not a good team. Vanderbilt is not a good team.
There's your 7 wins.
I don't think Florida State's a good team either, but they're much improved, and their quarterback has played well, and that's why they won as many games as they've had.
You got teams with the same records, all playing each other except Vanderbilt, and maybe FSU's trying to get to 9 wins. Florida won't, but Florida can get to 7 or 8. So, listen, it's amazing what a difference a week makes, isn't it? After the Georgia game, people, including myself, just wait till next year. But they're playing for a bowl game. They're playing for 8 wins. If they can get that, congratulations, Billy Napier. You did a great job in your first year, and this is the worst roster you probably have as a coach of the Florida Gators as we get ready for the early signing period in December and the transfer portal. But the reality is that Florida, in 1 week, could just turn a switch just like that. And now you've got a home game, a home finale, senior day at South Carolina. You got a very winnable game up in Nashville. You go 7. You've got 7 wins at that point. With a in-state rival, I don't know one Gator fan who would complain about that 2 months ago. If they sat at 7-4 going into Florida State, who would complain about that, QB?
Nobody. I wish this damn thing wouldn't go away. Alan says here on Facebook Live, is FSU that good or are the Hurricanes that bad? Let me tell you something, folks. Miami, I kid you not. Miami is like Vanderbilt right now. That's how bad they are.
I'd take Vandy, and I will tell you this, man. All these so-called big name recruits getting all this millions of dollars to go play down there. I'm not sure that's going to happen either, but it might. We'll see.
I saw on Twitter some former Alabama players, JC, complaining about the current Alabama players, about how they're all about themselves, all about the NIL, the money. They're not, everybody can say that for every school, Young. but there's something to that. There's something to that.
I would say on the defensive side, they don't play with the same edge, dude. Alabama lost their edge on that side of the ball when Kirby Smart left. Period. And I know you say Nick Saban's the head coach and this and that and the other. Kirby Smart left, that edge ended, and it's not the same there. But you can't look. Bryce Young is one of the best quarterbacks they've ever had in their history. He won a Heisman Trophy. He's going to be wasted. I mean, he's not going to win it. He's not going to win it this year, and he's probably going to go pro, right? So, what can the guy do? He can only do so much. They just can't stop anybody, and that's been the problem with their team. And I think it happened when Kirby left. I believe in Kirby Smart. I think he's the best thing that ever happened to Georgia for sure.
Mark's got an interesting text here. Mark from West Palm says, Shane, knowing what you knew about AR in high school, if you were the head coach of the Gators, would you have recruited him? It depends on who else. Well, if I was the head coach, he would not have fit my system. Doesn't mean we wouldn't have recruited him. That's tough to say because, everybody always talks about, Coach Spurrier would have benched him and gave somebody else an opportunity. This is when he was struggling. But the difference is Coach Spurrier had a system and all his quarterbacks were the same type of guy.
Yeah, very different.
Anthony's got a unique skill set. Like I said, he played his best game as a Gator Saturday. Can he follow it up the following couple of weeks? That's the key.
Well, I think South Carolina Vandy are two perfect opponents to pad that video. And Robert Griffin III, a Heisman Trophy winner himself and a great quarterback at Baylor, basically said, this fella is fixing to make a lot of money on Sundays.
Well, we already knew that, JC. Well, we didn't need RG3 to let us know that.
But I haven't heard anybody say that on TV just until Saturday. I mean, on TV.
Well, you must not have been watching much TV.
Well, maybe I just watched a different channel. But
yeah,
I look, it's going to help his confidence, his tape, and everything else these next 2 weeks. I can't imagine him struggling with South Carolina and Vandy. I can't.
Yeah, let's hope not. All right, JC, we got to get to Scott Carter.
All right.
Enjoy your day. We'll see you on Wednesday.
See ya.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a timeout. Come back. Shoot us your questions and comments for Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. You're watching and listening to Pod Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate. With premium brands like Bass Pro Shops, International Diamond Center, Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Wawa, the Gadget Guys, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now selling head beer, Coach American Lager at Spurrier's, Visors, Gator Games, and selected stores across Gainesville. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to head to the Titan More Hotline, and we're joined by Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. Doing well. Just getting back to it this morning, seeing the last home game this week. That's crazy.
It is. It's senior day. Scott, big win for the Gators. I was telling people earlier, that's my first trip ever to College Station. I was absolutely blown away. But is that the highest press box you've ever sat in?
It's right there with them, man. I don't know of any in the SEC that's higher, or the NFL that I've been to. I mean, it's a very high press box. You get a good view of the prairie around the campus here because that campus is beautiful, but there's not a lot in the distance from there, so you get a good view up there.
Yeah, and not only that, but they got like that glass where it's like leaning, facing straight down. It makes it even look higher, I guess. I don't know. Big win for the Gators. I think, Scott, it's the best game we've played all year. I think it's better than the Utah game, quite honestly. Give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I can go with that. I mean, I think the first half, obviously, both teams offensively were doing it. Florida's defense, without question, I thought played its best 15 minutes of football in the third quarter. Really shutting down Texas A&M in the whole second half, 106 yards. But you look at the complete performance, and I think, you read between the lines what Billy Napier said. I mean, he was pretty pleased with that performance offensively, defensively. Thought Anthony Richardson really did a nice job of executing the game plan and staying away from mistakes. And then he had some guys just make plays. I mean, Jaquavian Frazier's, he made a play on that 19-yard touchdown pass. Caleb Douglas, he had to go over a defender. He made a play. And I think, defensively, Uma Milan and Summerall got a recovery. Antoine Powell, sack. A lot of names that we don't mention regularly got mentioned on Saturday. And I think that's a good sign, especially where the Gators are as a program and where they are in the season, because we're going to see more new faces in these final three regular season games. If they get similar results as they did at Texas A&M, the Gators have a chance to really finish strong here.
Yes, they do. Two things here that stood out to me, and maybe I'm way off base here, but defensively, and this is not a shot at Brenton Cox, but we know he's been a somewhat of a selfish player during his career. Looked like they had more fun together, they played together. I don't know, it just had a different feel to me, the defense, with him not on the field.
I think you're right, Shane. I think it's a classic addition by subtraction. I mean, we've all heard that phrase before. And, I think if you look at just talent-wise, Brenton Cox Jr. probably is as talented as any guy on the roster this year at his position. But, he freelanced a lot, and I just think there were some other things. And whatever it was serious because, Billy Napier kicked him off the team last week. So you saw some guys get opportunities that we had in, more expanded roles. And I thought for the most part, everybody answered. And I do think they were playing as a unit. And, Ventrell Miller, he was the guy on defense we talked to after the game. And he said basically, at halftime, they still weren't where they wanted to be. I mean, they were losing 24-20. Texas A&M had racked up 307 yards in the first half. And I think, he and some other guys said, look, guys, let's get this together because this is winnable. If we do what we're supposed to do, we're going to win this game. And, sometimes those halftime speeches seem to work. Sometimes they don't matter much. But I think something clicked because I thought that defense was totally different in the second half. A lot more energy. And, both Ventrell Miller and Billy Napier said afterwards, Shane, it was really more about effort and energy than anything specific related to fundamentals or adjustments, although obviously there were some adjustments made. I just think guys kind of got more fired up and got going in the second half,
Yeah, Jeff says here, explain the reason for second half D improvement. I say big reason is because secondary played tighter coverage instead of giving up so much room. They didn't play. I don't think they played, from my eyes watching the game, was pretty much the same. I think the biggest difference in the second half was we figured out their left tackle and their left guard weren't very good, and we attacked that edge, and they couldn't block us. I thought our secondary played really well. Again, people look at me like I'm crazy. The other team, there's never been a no hitter or no quarterback has ever gone 0 and 26, 0 for 26 in a game. And let me tell you something. There are two wideouts. One, I've already forgot his name, and Moose Muhammad. I played with his dad in Carolina. Those dudes are legit.
Evan
And they made
Stewart's
some
the other
good
one.
catches, ran good routes. So it drives me crazy when fans say we need to press, we play too far off. There's a reason why you do that. If you play press coverage and you can't get to the quarterback, you are just asking for a disaster. So anyway, offensively, and the other thing that stood out to me, and maybe I'm wrong here, Justin Shorter's a good player, but it allowed Caleb Douglas, it allowed Marcus Burke to get in the game, and Frazier's kind of was more of a go-to guy. Mm-hmm. And I think we saw that he can actually make plays if given an opportunity.
Yeah, that catch that he made, really in the corner of the end zone to put him up 27-24. That was a great play. I mean, it's a really excellent throw. Anthony put it where it had to be, but still yet the defender was draped over Frazier's, and he still made the catch. And those are the kind of plays that good teams make. I mean, good players make. And again, Douglas did the same thing on his touchdown grab later in the quarter. And offensively, Shane, I thought obviously number one factor that Florida had to do in that game was run the ball. And they certainly did that. And you saw what happened. When you run the ball effectively, guess what? Things open up in the passing game and in the running game when Anthony Richardson, has that option. And he showed his, we've seen what Anthony can do. He showed it again on that 60-yard run. But again, I thought one thing that stuck out to me after the game that Billy said, he said, 3 straight games now, no turnovers by the offense. And he said, he told Anthony that, Anthony's going to play a lot of football in his career. And he says he thinks Anthony may look back on Saturday as kind of a pivotal turning point for him, because something that Billy saw. I mean, he just kind of left it at that in his post-game remarks. But I think it was just his decision-making, threw the ball better. We'll see. I mean, guys can have a good game and go back to the way they were the next game. But it seems to me like Anthony has been definitely more consistent lately.
Yeah, he's protected the football. That's the biggest. Yeah, what he did Saturday is what I wish he would have been doing all year long. Just throw completions.
Yeah.
He had one really bad throw, and it's something that I had to not argue with friends of mine. But Scott, so the biggest, you hear it nonstop. Billy's management of clock or trying to score at the end of the half. Okay. Yeah. So our last 2 possessions, and I have them right here, and I want to go through this with our listeners. I'm going to pull it up if I can find it, because I knew my memory. So I had our buddy Chris Harry. I said, Chris, you have access to the play-by-play. Send it to me, because I want to make sure I was correct. So we get the ball back with 2:32 left in the half, 3 timeouts, okay? We try to get a chunk play down the field. Our safety valve was Xavier Henderson on our sideline, wide open. If he catches it, he runs for a minimum of 15 and gets out of bounds. Anthony sails it over his head, okay? Second play, I believe we run a jet sweep where Pearsall gets 1 yard, okay? A&M calls timeout. And then we drop back, and I think we throw a short completion. Okay, so we got a punt. We were trying to get some yardage to get the drive going. It wasn't that he wasn't trying as a coach, okay? They score. We get the ball back, and here's what happens. Anthony goes out there. I'm watching it. I'm thinking to myself, why are we taking so long? We get out on the field about 22 seconds on the play clock. And I don't know what he's doing. We get a delay again. Okay. That ain't Billy's fault. Second play, we call outside zone to the left. Anthony goes the wrong way. So he has to scramble to the right. And instead of running out of bounds, he tried to run over somebody. So the point is, it wasn't that we weren't trying to score. Things went bad, and then you have to abort it. So anyway, There's my 2 cents on the end
I
of the
mean,
half.
it all started on both of those drives. First of all, I kind of chuckled in the press box at Xavier Henderson's reaction after that first series that you mentioned when Anthony threw the ball out of bounds, because he's like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" Because I mean, that was just a bad play. You know, he had him there. That could have kickstarted everything and dictated a whole different sequence there, obviously. And then it just disrupted the whole series. And then I think the second drive, one thing that caught my eye and it came up in the press box, the play clock, it didn't. They seemed to have started it early on that series, and it cost the Gators some seconds. I just think it threw him off. But Billy Napier addressed it after. He was very matter of fact. Look, we've got to be better in those situations. But it wasn't like they weren't trying. I mean, he knows that they can do better. So
and but then the next play, people thought Anthony had some type of zone read or kept it or whatever. No, it was quarterback made a mental error, which happens, but it is what it is. Chris has a text on the Titan More text line. Chris in Cottondale. In your opinion, has the removal of the unhappy players helped with the locker room and culture? Is Billy starting to get things how he wants them? Oh, absolutely. And I think you'll see more turnover when the season is over. Let's see here. This sounds to me that Billy is putting more emphasis on building a culture than immediate wins. That's what Frank says. I mean, he still wants to win games. I mean, we don't go out there just to lose them. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville, North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Scott Carter on the Titan More hotline, got a text here from Jimmy. He wants to know, how hurt is Frazier's?
Well,
did he come back in after that? He was injured? I can't remember.
Everything was happening so fast, and I mean, I don't know of anything significant there. We'll find out today if there is. I don't recall seeing him in the boot or anything after the game, but of course I wasn't looking either, so I was running around. But yeah, I don't have a good update there, Shane.
This is from Alan. He says, has Trent Whittemore left the team, or is he just invisible? He's still on the team, just not getting any playing time. Yeah. Trent's being a good team player. Let's just leave it at that. He's a good kid. Good player, too. So, Scott, well, somebody asked also here, is AR coming back next year? No, I think he's gone no matter what. That's just my opinion. What do you think?
You know, I've gone back and forth on this, Shane. You know, when he was struggling, and I was like, there's no way he should go to the NFL. But if he can play consistently the way he has, and he has any chance to sniff a late first round, early second round pick as a quarterback in the NFL, I mean, I think you gotta go. And if I was his coach, I would say, you know, we'd love to have you, but you got an opportunity here. You got to go make something of it. And so we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the most interesting, I think, movement that the Gators will have after the season in terms of, you know, big name players who could be back, but it's bound to happen.
Yeah, and there will be a lot of guys coming in from the transfer portal as well. Scott, what I was talking to JC earlier because I was just blown away at Texas A&M, the campus and everything and facilities. I was so enamored, and people don't want to hear about this, but it's cool to me because I've never been there. I literally stood in the press box during the broadcast, videotaping, like while I'm commentating on the game, because all the stuff that's going on in the stands, I've never seen anything like it. You've been there before. Am I crazy to act like I was? Because were you like that the first time you went to A&M?
Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere, there's no denying it's a great atmosphere. And I mean, I got to give those fans credit because, you know, with the way their program's going and the game itself, you know, two teams coming in on losing streaks, I thought they might not have, you know, 70,000, 80,000. They had 97,000. That place was packed and it was rocking. And, you know, A&M is known for its traditions, whether it's the 12th man or the Corps Cadets or other. I didn't even know they have a dog. They have a dog there too, horses.
Revelate.
Lot going on.
How about those horses? Did you see all those horses on campus?
Yeah, we saw them when we were coming in. The Corps Cadets were riding those over. And then they walk into the stadium pregame and go down A&M sideline or the visiting, A&M sideline. it's just a unique experience. That's what makes college football great. But I would tell anyone out there, if you've never been to a game at Texas A&M, get out there someday because it is unique in that regard. And what they've done in the stadium and the campus, I mean, it's one of the nicest around. I mean, they obviously have. I mean, Jimbo's contract can tell us all. They have a lot of money out there, Shane.
Just a little bit, not a whole
got a lot
lot.
of land and a lot of land.
Oh, they got so much land, it's crazy. I want some Andy asked on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. With it being Senior Day, do you have any cool stories coming up that you're writing?
You know, it's funny. I'm Jordan Pouncey. You know, a guy who's not really active in a lot other than special teams, but he's a very interesting guy. And I found out a lot about him last week. I sat down with him for about 20 minutes over in the complex. And so I'm going to write about him and how he got here and why he's taken on this kind of – he's like a team leader in a lot of ways.
He's the first guy that runs out of the tunnel every game.
Yeah, he's a team leader. The coaches love him. The teammates love him. But he's also a very interesting guy. That he's changed his career path in the last year because of his experience at Florida. So I'm going to write about him. And I like to spotlight those kind of stories. And he's always going to have this record. He was the first receiver to ever catch a college touchdown pass from Anthony Richardson in the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma back in 2020. He was the first. He caught a touchdown pass in that game. So anyway, neat little story.
Yeah, and it's Senior Day I get choked up every time I watch a Senior Day because a lot of those guys, you'll see a ton of walk-ons that people don't even know who the hell they are when they run out of the tunnel to see their parents. But those type of guys, if you're not around a program or within a program, those are the guys that help make the program. And you can't get through football practice without walk-ons doing their job.
Yeah. My appreciation and understanding of all that part of the culture of college football has really grown in this role because, you know, from an outsider, you're looking in. I mean, you're writing about the team and the star players and the big moments and the coaches. But then you get inside and you really see, man, these guys, they do as much, if not more, to be a part of all this. And you get, like, you talk about really loving the experience and wanting to be there. Those guys are the guys, you know. They live for this, and I appreciate them.
Yeah, there's and I'm sure Coach Napier will talk about it a little this week during his pressers because a lot of, like I said, people don't know who they are, but they do so much. They have to do the same workouts. They have to go to all the meetings. They have to go to all the practice sessions, and you never, ever play. And some of them never, ever suit up unless it's a non-conference game against the Eastern Washingtons of the world. So
yeah,
some of my closest friends from my college days were walk-ons, and I just don't think they're appreciated enough. And that's another cool thing about A&M is their 12th man. I don't think they do it quite like they used to do it back in the day. Their entire kickoff team back in the day used to be walk-ons, but I don't think they do that anymore.
Yeah, it's a little different.
So, Scott, last thing before we let you go, Gators have 3 regular season games left. One more to get to a bowl game. I think people feel a little bit better with 5 wins right now. Heck, they could win out. If they go 8-4, I'm telling you right now, it will be one of the most remarkable coaching jobs I've ever seen. South Carolina's not a very good football team. How do you see it playing out in the Swamp Saturday night?
You know, being at home, coming off the win, I think they do have a better mindset. Shane, one of your callers or texters earlier made the reference. I do think, you know, addition by subtraction does matter a lot in sports. You create a better locker room, you get more effort and energy, and suddenly things that had been kind of problems suddenly become assets or strengths. And so I like where they are. I'm like you. I think they can obviously win this game. I think they can win the rest of their games on their schedule if they play like they did Saturday at Texas A&M. And there's probably going to be moments where these rest of these 3 games, I mean, they're not going to be suddenly turn into a powerhouse and start blowing people out 50-0. But I do think they're going in the right direction. Billy Napier said, you know, this season has been about working on these guys as people as much as players. And he stressed that again after the A&M win, like they're really heading in the right direction there. And if they can maintain that and still play at a high level, protect the ball from Anthony. I think they're probably as in a good a spot as they have been since they were going into that LSU game and things kind of went backward for them. So we'll see. I mean, it's been week to week, as we know, and it was even half to half at A&M. But if they can somehow capture what they did in the second half, especially on defense, they'll be able to win these 3 games, I think.
All right, real quick, last thing. Just got a text, and it comes from Matt. He says, "What's happened to Naquan Wright? He's still on the team. He's graduating. I don't know if he's graduating, but they're going to honor him as a senior. He still has several years of eligibility left, though, right? He's basically going to transfer."
I think that's the case. I mean, I think he at least has 1 more year with the COVID, maybe 2. I can't remember, but I do know that. I mean, it's almost like the same case as Trent Whittemore. He just, guys who, for whatever reason, they don't fit maybe as nicely in this coach's system as they did the last coach. And Naquan was in there earlier, but I mean, just from a football perspective, you can't really argue with what Johnson and Etienne are doing. They're your 2 best options. Yeah. I mean, I understand you always like to see a guy, or you kind of always want to know, well, why that guy used to play and now he's not. Well, guess what? It happens all the time. Somebody a bit better came along. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. All right, Scott. Appreciate your time, my man. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
That's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan MR hotline at Ruse Ogre State Farm Office. A team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance option for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com at 352-240-1779. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, folks. Have a great day. See you then. Take care.